Good day to everyone. I know you've been waiting for this video for a while, a video about how to set personal boundaries. The topic means how to setting personal boundaries. As a practical guide, we're not talking about psychological boundaries, but rather boundaries on a subtle level, how to define what can and cannot happen in your reality. This involves clearly stating and establishing the rules of your own game. We'll also touch on the topic of intention since these themes are interconnected. Let's start with what we already know about disconnecting from attachments. We understand that the first step is separating your consciousness from the entity's consciousness, recognizing where manipulations occur, including manipulations by egregores. When you identify these boundaries, you declare your will for entities to leave your personal space. You affirm, I no longer welcome you here, this is my will. This act of severing attachments and then nullifying contracts needs to be firm and intentional. For those who have grasped this concept, it has led to profound changes in their lives. The importance of clear decisions. When setting boundaries, you must make a decisive choice. Every day in life, we are faced with choices, and this is no different. There's no room for indecision here. If you waver between two options, you remain in a state of stagnation. Choosing freedom and liberation means fully committing to that decision. It's not a tentative step but a definitive one. This involves metaphorically burning bridges and leaving no path for retreat. When you choose freedom, you cut ties with the past and take irreversible steps forward. On the other hand, wavering or indecisiveness keeps you tethered to the same state. For instance, if you wish to detach from a religious egregore but continue to engage in its practices, such as attending church weekly, the connection remains intact. The same principle applies when it comes to personal boundaries. They are about declaring what is and isn't acceptable in your life and sticking to those declarations without compromise. Defining your reality. When setting boundaries, it's essential not only to state what you don't want in your life, but also to define what should take its place. For example, if you no longer want to endure someone yelling at you daily, you must also declare that they should interact with you respectfully and politely. Visualize and articulate this in detail. This process of setting boundaries on a subtle level extends to every aspect of life. Until you establish your own rules, you'll be subject to the rules imposed by others, often to your detriment, whether at work, in relationships, or elsewhere. Failing to set boundaries leaves you vulnerable to unwanted behaviors. Once you recognize the power of setting personal boundaries, you'll understand that it's a foundational step toward reclaiming control over your reality. The role of intention. Boundaries are closely tied to intention. When you declare what you want in your life, you are actively shaping your reality. This is not merely about prohibiting certain actions or behaviors. It's about defining how you want things to be. For instance, you might assert that your children should communicate with you respectfully, balancing their rights with your expectations. This is a clear, uncompromising choice that must align with your will. Every boundary you set should be intentional and backed by a strong will. When you say, this is how it must be in my life, you are creating a parameter for your reality. This act of self-determination lays the groundwork for broader changes, such as reshaping your work environment, relationships, or other areas of life. Avoiding loopholes. When you establish boundaries, it's critical to fill any voids left by the removal of unwanted behaviors or influences. Nature abhors a vacuum, and if you don't specify what should replace an eliminated behavior, something else may fill the gap, possibly in an equally undesirable way. For instance, if you prohibit someone from yelling at you but don't clarify how they should communicate, they might resort to passive-aggressive behavior instead. Defining acceptable behaviors is just as important as rejecting unacceptable ones. Practical application of personal boundaries. Setting personal boundaries works not only on a subtle level, but also in everyday interactions. Whether it's dealing with people at work or in your personal life, defining how you expect to be treated can lead to noticeable improvements. This practice can extend to how you interact with entities or egregores as well. When you declare, "I forbid this entity from feeding off my energy," it's essential to frame this as a boundary rather than an attempt to control the entity's will. For example, instead of trying to force someone to behave a certain way, you assert that certain behaviors are unacceptable toward you. This distinction is critical. Boundaries are about defining your own space, not manipulating others. Building a new foundation. Personal boundaries are the building blocks of a new reality. By setting these boundaries, you begin to shape your life according to your desires rather than external influences. This process is empowering and transformative. It allows you to reclaim your life and direct it in a way that aligns with your values and goals. This concludes the discussion on personal boundaries for now. In the future, we'll delve deeper into topics such as intention and reality creation. For now, practice setting boundaries in smaller areas of your life and observe the changes that follow. Share your experiences and let us know how this process is working for you. Wishing you all the best and until next time. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share my channel. Become a member of my Telegram channel and discuss with like-minded people as a supporting club member.